Okay, there we go. I did it right. I finally, it took me 2 tries today. All right, so here we are. Okay, on the 6th of July. All right, and you've had a first half of the year. So the question is, how are you doing? My favorite four questions is the first one is, how are you doing? Like, how are you doing so far this year? Like, are you 50% of your goal? Are you 30% of your goal? All right. So what's your results? Look, the scoreboard doesn't lie, folks. The scoreboard requires no explanation. Like when a baseball team wins in 11 or 12 innings, and at the end of the year, it's a win or a loss. It doesn't matter how it happens. It only matters which one. And when you play a game, there's only 2 options: win or lose. When you're in real estate, you really only have the same options, right? You're going to win. Every day that you do what you're supposed to be doing is a winning day, and every day that you don't. All right. So what are some of the things that you asked yourself or told yourself that you would do this year that you're not currently doing? You need to start doing those probably, right? So, and I always find it's usually the proactive activities. Usually the reactive activities don't suffer. It's the proactive activities. So then the last question is, what are you going to change? All right. So there you go. What are you going to change? What are you going to do differently? So I think those are hugely important. And then it always starts with a decision. People need, and I think most people on this call today or listening to it later will understand that, success it starts with a decision. And as some of you know, the little book I wrote, Success is a Verb, then I call it, you make a decision, and then you decide what your goal is going to be, and then you follow it up with the actions consistent. You follow those actions for 30 to 60 days. Now they become habits, and now you have habits for life, okay, that'll serve you. So what you're doing on a daily basis is either serving you or it's not serving you. It's hindering you. And it's really up to you. And I do know by doing this for a long time now, right, that it's a lot easier. Once you make a decision as to what you want to do, it's a lot easier to follow your schedule and do what you're supposed to be doing than it is to beat yourself up and use all your energy doing that as opposed. So just do what you're supposed to be doing. So success starts with a decision followed by, okay, the actions you need to take in order to achieve them, which will eventually become habits. Are you setting the mental GPS every day? Are you reminding yourself what your goals are and what you want to accomplish? All right. So I think that's critically important. And okay, so here's another word: responsibility. All right. So I'm going to give you a bunch of words today. The first one is success. How do you define success? That's your goal. Whatever your goal is, that's how you define it. And then you look at the actions consistent with achieving it. Are you following those? You don't even have to achieve the goal yet. All you have to do is follow the actions every day that will eventually get you there, and you're successful because you're on your way to achieving it. It's not a mystery. Most of us today know exactly what we need to do, okay, to achieve our goal. The question is, are you following it on a daily basis? And if you are, congratulations. And if you're not, you're beating yourself up and you feel crappy. It's really not that complicated, All right. So second word is responsibility. Look at, you are responsible for it. So number 1 was success. Number 2 is responsibility. The only person who's responsible for you is you. That's it. No explanation necessary. You're either taking responsibility or you're not. That's it. It's really that simple. Third one on my list is commitment. When Mark was here, Mark Stark, I still talk to him, but when he was the CEO of the company, we used to have a line saying, you can't teach commitment. I can't remember if he came up with it or if I came up with it, but one of us did, or one of us stole it somewhere, but you can't teach commitment. You either have it or you don't. Now, can you develop commitment? Yes. Yes, I think your priorities are, it doesn't matter what you say. It only matters what you do. Once again, go back to the scoreboard. Scoreboard shows what you've done. It's very rare that the scoreboard doesn't show what you've done, but sometimes that does happen, which means it's coming. So if you've been doing a lot of actions and you're not getting quite the results you want, it's coming. Just keep having the faith and keep, marching forward. So that's the third word, is commitment. Are you committed? It's very simple. Are you taking the actions every day? You're committed. If you're not, then it's convenient. When it's convenient, I do. When it's not, I don't. Right? That's not priorities, by the way. Okay, the fourth word on my list is consistency. Are you being consistent on a daily basis? Because all of these words are critically important. I wouldn't even call them 1 through 10. I'd call them 1A, 1B, 1C, 1D. Okay, so it's really that simple. Consistency makes up for most of the shortfalls that you think you have. Well, I'm really not that good, in my prospecting. But if you're consistent, you're still going to get results and you're still going to get better. Well, I'm not really great at my presentation. Well, if you consistently practice it, you'll get better. If you're consistently going on them, you're going to get better. If you're consistently going on them, simple math says you're going to get more because you're going on more. That literally was when I first started in real estate, that listed was my call word, which was, I'm going to make up for it with consistency and tenacity, because I knew I wasn't that good at first. I just knew it. And that wasn't a negative affirmation. That was just, I hadn't done it long enough. I knew I was going to get better, but I knew at first if I was consistent, okay, I would definitely get better. All right? So the next word, instead of calling them one by numbers, is focus mindset. Focus/mindset. What are you focused on? How is your mindset? Do you have a growth mindset? Or do you have a fixed mindset? Well, you're born with a certain amount of talent. That's a bunch of crap. And they've proven that statistically over and over. Growth mindset. Your mindset's like a muscle. You can make it better. You sure can. What are you focusing on every day? If you're focusing on past regrets and I find myself doing it, I have to remind myself, stop that. Stop doing that. Great book is The New Psycho-Cybernetics. It's a great book about mindset. It's a little older now, but it's very simple and to the point. The New Psycho-Cybernetics, not just Psycho-Cybernetics, because that won't bore you to tears. It's way too technical and long-winded. Okay, so what are you focusing on? Like I always use the example when my two oldest, Nick and Derek, came to visit me. I was years ago, and they both have their driver's licenses, right? So they just now Nick got his first, Derek's got his, and they came to Las Vegas, and I took them to the Speedway, and we did the those crazy Porsches and Lamborghinis, and you can ride on and you have a professional driver with you, and they tell you the course has 3 pylons. He tells you, okay, see that pylon over there? I don't want you to look at anything but that pylon. I will tell you when to look at the next one. Then there's another pylon 300 yards away. So he says, okay, focus. Okay, look at the next one, because the reason you look at the pylons is your body is hardwired to go where you're looking, right? So if you're looking in the wrong place, guess where you're going to end up? In the wrong place. So you always want to be focused on where you're going and fixed to where you're going, okay? Because that's how you're going to end up there. Where if you're looking around all the time and, thinking about old stuff and, you're not going to end up where you want to go. You got to keep it focused, and your body just adjusts to it. It's crazy, actually, how well it works. All right, so focus, mindset. Next 2 words on my list are process/schedule. So what is your process? Are you convinced that your process is going to get you there? If you're not, join my coaching. I'd love to help you with that. All right, but you got to be convinced, even on the days it doesn't feel like it. Because you know what? A lot of you have experienced this, especially people in my coaching. One day it can feel like the wheels are coming off the bus, and then the next day everything comes together. I'm going to challenge you to say, when you feel like you are falling apart, it's usually, a breakdown right before a breakthrough. And most people give up. And and I always use this example, the favorite day of most gyms that are national franchises, everybody goes, well, that's January 1st. Why? People set, New Year's resolutions, and they sign a contract, and they join, and then, right? And then, but that's not their favorite day of the year. The favorite day of the year is January, not January 1st, but January 18th, because that's when people have paid for a whole year, and then they stop going. That's sad. Now, If you read anything, most people will tell you it takes at least 21 days to start a habit. I would call that the beginning of a habit. Think about that. 21 days to start a habit. They're on day 18 and they quit because they're at that breakthrough phase right before that breakdown phase right before the breakthrough, and they just, let their emotions take over. You know what? It's never going to happen for me. Might as well just forget about it. Right? Where if you just keep going, all of a sudden things can happen. Right? Good things can happen. All right. So, which one are you? And it doesn't matter what you've done to today. It only matters what you do from here forward. And if you've decided that you can do it, then you'll do what's necessary. And it starts with, you got to be confident. You got to look at yourself as worthy. And if you don't, once again, you can read stuff. You can do visualization, meditation, affirmations. You have to do two things. Take the body through the motions of whatever the goal is, and at the same time work on your mindset so you feel worthy of the destination. Right? And it never stops, folks. It's like brushing your teeth. You brush your teeth every day. You take a shower every day. You got to work on your mindset every day. People forget. And I hope you go to the gym every day, and I hope you eat right every day. All right? So, but just like the wrong food every day, the most energy-sapping thing you do every day is digest food. And if you're giving it your body, stuff that's hard to digest or combinations that are bad, or you're sucking up a lot of your energy doing that. All right, so process/schedule, and I'm going to tell you, a time block schedule will give you freedom. People think, well, that sounds very restrictive. Only while you're working, but then when you're out, you get to do anything you want because you have the money. Well, that's shallow. Money isn't everything. Yeah, but it doesn't suck. Okay, it's better than not having money, right? I always go, well, money makes nothing worse. You have one person in the crowd, well, you have to pay more taxes. Yeah, but you have the money to pay more taxes. And if you pay, remember, look, folks, the IRS isn't an, irritating thing that you have to do. They're your partner. You live in the best country in the world. You got to pay taxes to keep this country like this. And I don't like paying them all the time either, but if you take what's yours and pay your taxes, you never have to worry about paying penalties and all that kind of crap. Don't get me wrong. I started real estate early. I've made every mistake you can possibly make. So I did that early on too. All right. So next word on my list is practice. If you want to get good at anything, you got to practice, whether you're a musician or, whatever. You have to practice every day to get good at it. It's that simple. And it gives you confidence. Practice definitely gives you confidence. Right? When you're doing something confidently, competently, and naturally, people feel it and they want to work with you. Right? If you feel like you're muscling through something and you're uncomfortable, they can sense it. People can sense, when you're into it and you know what you're talking about, and they can sense when you're not. So practice is the key. Next on my list is attitude. Do you have a great attitude? I'm not talking about a super Pollyanna, although that's better than being negative. Attitude. Do you have a positive attitude? If you can't just go, yep, I do, then you probably don't. Right? Positive attitude. Are you positive? And I'm not talking positive, nothing's going to work. I'm talking about positive, it's going to go exactly the way or close to that you want it to do. A lot of times, it doesn't go exactly the way you thought, but if you give it time, it goes better. I mean, it really does. All right. Then I wrote down another word here, student. Are you a student to life? Are you a student to your business? Are you a student to your relationships? Are you a student to your kids? Right? So meaning that you're willing to learn all the time. You got to be willing to learn all the time. Right? So, I think learning is, I don't know about you, but I'm learning Spanish right now. Right? I think it's a blast. Your brain is designed to keep learning. They also have studies against dementia and Alzheimer's, and you keep learning, statistically you got a much better chance of not getting any of that. It's when people get stagnant and they atrophy. Your brain is like a big muscle. If you're working out all the time, your body's under construction all the time. You sleep better, you feel better, right? Same with your mind. You're stretching it, adding to it. It's working. It's what it's designed to do. It's not designed to just be in park. Okay. And you know people that are in park all the time, how do they look? How do they act? They're usually not really well because they're not doing anything. And then I wrote down here, keep it simple. Keep it simple. All right. This is not a complicated deal. Real estate is a tremendous amount of common sense and very intricate. I just didn't say it was easy. I just said it was simple. All right. Working out is simple, but it's not easy. I mean, I actually think it's easier to work out today than not to work out because I know how I feel. Why would I go through a whole day feeling less sharp, less mentally there, less focused by not working out? That's what I tell myself in the morning now. Why would I ever do that? I do 75, 80 minutes every day. That's not for everybody. But to me, that's like, okay, then I have what? 23 and a half hours? You got to sleep 8. Do the math. And so your waking hours, whatever they are, 14, are better because I spent an hour and 15 of it up front, working out. To me, it's not even a thought process. It's such a fair trade. If you put 10% into the market and got 90% back, would you do that? Of course you would. That's what it's like. It's the best payback from an investment ever. And then you add in eating right, you'll never eat wrong again if you give yourself 6 months doing that. You'd be like, why would I ever? Now listen, I did all this. I used to drink too much, all that stuff. But then when you put some space between you and those activities, you're like, what was I thinking? Was I partially insane? I think I was. I probably still am. Right? And then the last one I wrote here, social media and technology, and I would say use it, but it's the old thing, use it, but don't stare at it all day. You stare at it all day, it's going to suck up all your time. Should you use social media, AI, technology? Yes. Get it set up, use it. Don't spend all your time doing it, though. The other stuff I just mentioned is more important. Remember, once again, I gave you 11 things to think about there. Success was the first one. Okay, success means it's a decision. You decide what that means to you. And it can be in 6 months, 1 year. I like 12-month increments, but it can be whatever. Responsibility, be powerful. Decide to take over. If someone's going to be responsible, it might as well be you. It's your life. No one's going to take responsibility for your life. You got to be committed, which is the third one. You got to be committed. I mean, you're either committed or you're not. It's not that complicated. I mean, commitment means I'm going to do what I need to do to achieve my goals because they're important, right? The fourth one was consistency. Are you being consistent every day? The fifth one is actually 2 words in the fifth one, so I guess I gave you more than that. Focus mindset. Do you have a growth mindset? Do you have a fixed mindset? I mean, it's very simple. Growth is obviously better. Number 6 was process/schedule. If you have a process and a schedule, okay, that's the right one. You're going to get there. You just got to follow it every day. Are you practicing? Do you practice your listing presentation? Do you practice your scripts? I recommend that you do that. Attitude / positive versus negative. I don't think there's an in-between. I have a neutral mindset. I think the neutral mindset, they're the same people that say, well, I'm just telling you the truth, which a lot of times is way overdone. Right? So, I mean, I think everybody knows the truth. It's not that complicated. Right? The next one was be a student. Number 9, be a student. Are you a student of life? Are you a student of your business? Are you a student of everything? Because you can learn. No one knows everything. All right, do you keep it simple or do you have a, tendency to overcomplicate stuff? Remember, overcomplicating things just means that you're trying to creatively avoid taking action. That's all it is. Well, you ever notice the super smart, intelligent, high IQ people, a lot of times they don't progress or succeed as much because they're overthinking everything. And then you just have some people that use it as a creative avoidance activity, which is even worse, actually. And then social media, technology, AI, I'll link those into one area. You want to use it, but you don't want to stare all day because you got to take action. You got to take a step in the right direction every single day. All right. So I've covered a lot of points today. All right. And so anybody have any questions? If you have a question, hit *6 so I can hear you. All right. *6 will unmutify. Once you unmutify, though, remember we can hear you. So any questions from anybody? Let's hear it. I have obviously explained it so well that nobody has any questions. All right, so I'll leave you with this today, folks. Okay, so you have the whole second half ahead of you. So if you're not exactly where you want to be after the first half, okay, make it up in the second half. You can do that. I mean, baseball teams do that, football teams do that. You know, you can definitely do that. Or you can look at it this way. You've had the first half of the game. Make the adjustments necessary to succeed in the second half of the game. You'll never be more proud of yourself than if you take the right action every single day. And it doesn't take long to compile and affect your mindset and affect your confidence. Okay, so I'm on your team. If you need to be coached, email my assistant, Lisa P. at bhhsnv.com. Or you can call me, 702-219-4329. I'll be happy to talk to you about it. Everybody have a great day. I'll talk to you soon. Thank you, everybody.